word from your station. For Hoosier hysteria in Happy Valley and a Texas-sized statement in Lubbock.
Testing. 1, 2, 3. Oh, by 5, everybody. Okay. Testing. I'm on. Finally. Lucy, okay. And oh shoot. What a nightmare. I lost everybody's number. Great. I'm on. Testing. 1, 2, 3. I'll see if I'll restream. See if anybody. Shoot. Oh, can't do it. All right, Chico. Oh. Rhonda Kitty, welcome. Are you have you been following since the beginning? I'm trying to remember everybody's names. To get back. It's been only a couple of weeks we got our channel back. And thanks for staying with us. The group. Oh, Chico. We'll get the show going at 6 o'clock. We'll wait till we get everybody back in here. My phone setting got messed up this week, and all my settings got messed up. Yeah, I was trying to remember you. Okay, cool. What state were you from? Oh, you are. Here's my everybody that wants to contact me. This is my email. How far are you away from Marysville? So that's my Gmail. We get contact, and then whenever we get the party started, when we get supposedly the RV and all that, hopefully we'll get everybody together and stuff. My regular time is 5 o'clock during the week, Monday through Friday. Okay, isn't that kind of Chico? You wait till we start. Yeah, I'm not used to Michigan, so I grew up in Arizona. Chico wants his treats. Are you gonna wait? Wait till we start. But yeah, we'll hang tight till we get every. I wonder if I should restream. Should I restream and set it for 6 o'clock? You're the only one that's in here. Oh, Lori. Should I stay in here, Lori? I just got back on. My whole settings is messed up because of my phone the other day. It's still messed up. I can't reach nobody. Chicken wants his treats. Okay, everybody's coming back. Okay, I'll stay on. Lucy! Wait. I have something else for you, buddy. Hold on. My phone settings got off again, Lucy. I'm not going to be able to get that email for 4 days. I gotta find your number. I lost all the phone numbers again. So if you got my number, try to text me and I'll text you back and I'll call you after. It's been a crazy week this week. But we're going to start at 6 o'clock and get everybody in here. Hold on, I got something better for you, buddy. Oh, where did I put them all? Got Chico treats today. Just a minute. Huh? What do you want? Oh, okay, Lori. When Kay gets in here, ask Kay. Just keep trying. So it's Saturday night, so no one has to work tomorrow. So we'll get a 6 o'clock start. 6 o'clock start tonight. Carol had to go somewhere at 5 o'clock, so she can't make it in. All right, buddy, something new. Oh, gotta get things organized here. Okay, thanks, Lucy. I got your number. Yeah, let's keep on trying with that. Your email, Rory. So now my next step before we start the show is Telegram. So I can't use my old email after 4 days so to get verified. And oh geez, Chico. He's going bananas. So while we're waiting for everybody able to get everything set up. What? No more. Okay, I'm in, you guys. I'm in. So we will go get started. What I got on here. I want to see if there's Billy Bean out. Oh, shoot. I'll just go to YouTube. Okay. So Billy hasn't come out yet in 2 days. So we're caught up with Billy.
Plato's body back to Maryland, where he'll be
This will be 10 minutes.
where he'll be buried on the 6 acres at the organization's national headquarters. But I wanted to talk about a couple things. So I made a video yesterday explaining that we are now officially, we have an access point directly to the Department of Interior and the U.S. Park Service, and we have a line that takes that to our American holding company. So because really the assets are to be moved into the Department of Interior through this organization and then put into holding for the holding company, and that's why we needed the vault, right? Someone asked me the other day, I was on a phone conference with our trustee, with our living trust trustee, and she had mentioned that they're starting to hear chatter about what's called the American People's Vault. That is the vault that will essentially replace the center vault for the Smithsonian, so that all the assets can be brought back in. So, on another note, in this conference conversation, and you guys got to remember something, as the administrator of the multi divisions of the origin of the Brotherhood and Tribulation of the American People, which is now has the American Republic Division, the American National Republic Division, our United Republic, APPT, which is the American People's Public Trust, the American People's Common Trust. So there's all these like different branches that are coming out of this one organization that was founded, and that's the organization that actually summoned the Army and Marine Corps last August. As that's happened and we've grown and we've expanded, and now we have treaties and stuff like that, and we have a trustee, and the U.S. Army administration is the administrator of our living trust, which is where our oil and gas leases are held. So since all that's happened, we're getting more to the point of direct contact with the Judge Advocate Generals, which will assume jurisdiction over our civil courts, our probate courts, reactivating our territory courts, our continental courts. Because remember, you gotta have a court for each one of these jurisdictions. So Western Hemisphere, gotta have a court for America, from the North Pole to the South Pole. Western Hemisphere, Marine Corps. You notice on the Marine Corps, the bird, ball, and chain, the ball is the Western Hemisphere. They are the mechanism of force in the Western Hemisphere, period. So, as you get to continental, or, American continent, American Continental Congress. As you get to the American territory, the territory laws of Florida, right? As you get to all this stuff and these treaties,
Everybody likes this one, you guys.
You have to have a court and a location for each one. Okay? So that's what's happening, is that all this stuff is being reactivated that's been dormant for all these years. Okay? There were two things that came up, and they were talking about accountability, about being self-accountable. All right? And this is with our trustee and other members that are in this and that are directly associated with the trustees, the designated trustee organization, or court, which is the U.S. Supreme Court Registered Heir Equity Court. That's in Canada. That's our trustee that's appointed to us on our living trust. So with that said, there was this discussion, and people were talking about you got to be self-accountable.
Hey,
and this is
finally.
Christianity, and it's a Christian way, and America is a Christian nation, and stuff like that. And that is true. That is true. America fundamentally is a Christian nation because Christianity facilitates individual rights and liberty.
Video.
An individual relationship with your understanding of creation and the laws of nature as you have come to educate yourself to understand those, and as you grow through your journey of life. That is true. That is absolutely true. That does not discount the works of Moses and the works of community organization and canon law. That's Moses, right? That does, and they've taken the Apocrypha out, which is, the philosophy, Plato and stuff were in the Apocrypha. They've taken all that out because they've streamlined the books to their needs. But we have to understand, as Americans, as American people, as the indigenous inhabitants, and as the inhabitants of the North American continent, the Christianity that is referring to from 1700 is not the pastor, pulpit preacher sitting on his lectern, talking on a stage. This is applied jurisprudence in law Christianity. That means that the church becomes a courthouse. That means that matters of common law are happening, in jurisprudence, are happening in the courthouse. The courthouse is the church. Left. The churches are the courthouses for common law. The train stations are where your community meetings are supposed to take place, because that's the traveler stations or the bus stations that's under transportation. Okay? So the other thing, someone asked me, like, when this switch flips on, right, and all of a sudden the United States Marine Corps, United States Army, United States Space Force, United States Air Force, in their proper jurisdictions, alongside National Security Agency, military intelligence, CIA, and the Judge Advocate Generals for each branch, with Homeland Security Director, okay, are all in the same room, all on one council, coordinating and collaborating together for domestic law enforcement and mechanisms of national common defense with a C, because we're protecting the church. Okay, when all that happens, and like these warrants start going out, what is going to happen? How are the people going to respond? And my response was,
your phone has been busy all
we
day.
will probably see
Did you get
a
any of my
10% reduction in population due to suicide. Because when these people, these managers, these administrators, these HR directors, these commissioners, all these people find out that they are now on the hook for the shit they did, and they are all prosecutable, these people are cowards. They're like failures. Like, they're not gonna, they wouldn't dare have to face judgment on behavior. It's just not gonna happen.
Really?
These types of losers only have power when they've claimed in some entitled authority.
Yeah,
you put the hook into them,
video,
and you're gonna drag them into the place where you're gonna peel the layers back. They can't handle that. They can do that to other people, but they cannot handle it to themselves. So I predict, this is a prediction, it's my opinion, there will be a 10% reduction in the population of North American continent when they find out that they're going to answer for every decision that they've destroyed people's lives and stole their property, everything. That's my opinion. I figured I'd just say it. God bless. Godspeed.
Yes, it's my birthday the day before. My settings on the phone got messed up, and they're still messed up till I get, after 4 days, when I get my old settings back. And so, and tonight, I don't know what happened to my settings. So, but I got Telegram saved. Just all my phone settings are all messed up, so it's gonna be a while before I get everything back to normal. So, yeah, we got some new faces in chat. Dridge4 hasn't been. Are you up to my other channels? I've been on, never left. I got over 1 million views, and Kay hopefully will be back in. I tried reaching her, but yep, we'll stay on for a while tonight. But that was the first one. Yep. So we'll go ahead and get going here with the intel. So that's going to be. I'll go ahead and get going here.
Less than 24 hours after the confetti hit the floor, has already got his hands out, begging for cash to fund his transition team. Translation, you foot the bill while he rides the victory wave. So congratulations, New York City. You just got Oprah into bankruptcy. You get free buses, you get free childcare, you get free everything until the invoice lands on your doormat with a side of property tax hikes. But wait, there's more. Mamdani is not the one in power. We are getting a secret look at one of the groups who has heavy influence over Mamdani, and their opening demand for the mayor-elect: erase every trace of Israeli influence from the Big Apple. Wait until you see this list. Plus, a Charlie Kirk video has resurfaced showing Kirk exposing Mamdani for pulling a Trump-style power move. This one caught my attention. I wanted to share it with you. And Trump, he roasts Nancy Pelosi as the news breaks today of her retirement. Nobody does parting words quite like 45. Hit the like button if you're popping champagne over Pelosi's.
Yeah, Kay's not in yet.
And subscribe so you never miss the chaos. Now, before we dive in, quick heads up on the chaos that is coming to your air travel, courtesy of the government shutdown. The FAA just announced major flight cuts starting tomorrow on Friday. So if your travel plans were already a little bit of a mess, congratulations. They just got even messier.
I played your one guy.
Breaking today, your air travel nightmares about to get a lot worse. Chaos now rocking our aviation system as the FAA prepares to slash thousands of flights at major airports nationwide. That has air traffic controllers.
Kay will be in shortly.
How things are going in Congress. Listen here.
There is a righteous and noble political fight happening, but it does not need to be in my cockpit. There are things happening today that will impact the Thanksgiving holiday staffing as far as pilots go. We're traveling at near the speed of sound, and the government right now is working at near the speed of molasses.
So here's the deal. The FAA is slicing 10% of flights at 40 U.S. airports. This kicks off again tomorrow on Friday with a 4% cut. Then each day we creep up with a 1% addition to those cuts until we hit 10%. Flights today, already feeling the sting. So if you're flying or picking somebody up, call your airlines first.
It's only the second video, you guys. You didn't miss only one video.
Thanksgiving. At this rate, your turkey might be delayed too. I will have a little bit more on the shutdown later in the show. Now to our top story. New York, brace yourself. The socialists who promise you free buses, rent freezes, government-run grocery stores, free childcare, just hit the brakes on his entire free stuff fantasy within hours of being declared mayor. Zohran Mamdani went from power to the people to please Venmo me in record time.
Good morning, New York City. Thank you. Last night we made history.
I got one more short one. Thanks for everybody with birthday. Yep. It was a bad one. I had my phone messed up, everything. So, okay, this is the second one. Oh, wait.
And 24 hours after the confetti hit the floor, has already got his hands out, begging for cash to fund his transition team. Translation?
I will move on. I think that was all messed up. So the next one. I'm not sure about the next one, you guys, so let me know. It's only 4 minutes. So let me know and I'll stop it.
Everywhere Islam takes over, civilizations collapse. This is history, not an opinion. Egypt, before the 7th century, a brilliant civilization. Alexandria, the center of ancient knowledge. After the Arab conquest in the year 640, Coptic Christians persecuted, special taxes, elites fleeing. Result, a poorer Egypt. Mesopotamia, Baghdad, 9th century, capital
I
of
did it
world
once.
knowledge,
We might want to do
science,
it again.
medicine, philosophy. Then Islamic internal wars, Sharia law imposed, economic decline. Today, Iraq, ruined and unstable. Lebanon, 1960s, prosperity. It was called the Switzerland of the Middle East. Then the rise of Islamists in the 1970s. Civil war from 1975 to 1990. Result, exile, bankruptcy, chaos. Iran, before 1979, a modern country, growth, open universities. The Islamic Revolution, religious dictatorship, sanctions, massive impoverishment. Afghanistan, 1970s, Kabul, universal openness. Then the arrival of the Taliban, brutal collapse. Today, a country ruled by Sharia, famine everywhere. Gaza, 1950s, visible Christian minority, active economy. Then the rise of Hamas, Sharia law imposed. Today, ruins, extreme poverty, massive unemployment. Always the same story. Conquest, Sharia oppression, and everywhere. Collapse. Egypt, Iraq, Lebanon, Iran, Afghanistan, Gaza, different countries. Always the same result. Everywhere political Islam take power. Civilization disappears. Everywhere political Islam took power. Local civilizations collapsed. This is history, not an opinion. And North Africa is a striking example. Before the year 690, North Africa was mostly Berber. Christian kingdoms still existed, heirs of Rome and Byzantium. Carthage, Timgad, Hippo, cities with churches, where people spoke Latin and Berber, where local traditions were still alive. But everything changed brutally after 690. Arab armies crossed Egypt, then invaded Libya and advanced to Morocco. In 711, they crossed the Strait of Gibraltar. They conquered Spain. The result? Forced conversions. Christianity disappeared. Indigenous Judaism declined. Whole populations were Islamized and Arabized. The Berbers, a free people, resisted. They fought back, they rebelled. But against military and religious domination, most was subdued. Their language declined. Their writing almost vanished. Their original identity was erased. Look at Tunisia. Carthage, once a Christian and Roman center, was destroyed in 698. Its churches were torn down, replaced by mosques. In Algeria and Morocco, Berber kingdoms were absorbed into the caliphate. The Arabic language was imposed, local customs were suppressed. Every uprising was crushed in blood. From Morocco, armies crossed the sea in 711. They occupied almost the whole Iberian Peninsula. For 8 centuries, Spain lived under Islamic rule. Only a few Christian kingdoms in the north survived, in constant resistance. Everywhere the same pattern: conquest, Islamization, Arabization, ancient cultures erased, peoples transformed by force. Even today, North Africa still carries the mark of those conquests. The Berbers reduced to a minority, their ancient languages almost gone, and much of their history erased.
So I hope that was okay.
A bombshell has just dropped
10 minutes,
from
guys,
the
10
Blaze
minutes.
after an extensive series of interviews and investigations. They have named a suspect.
Anybody hear this
and
yet?
It is worse than I could have possibly imagined what they have found. Ladies and gentlemen, the chief of police for the Capitol Police, his name is Stephen Sund. He's a regular guest on my program. He's a good and honorable man. He has released his phone records showing that he was constantly and consistently denied help on January 6th. Why would you do that if the Capitol was truly under existential attack? And why did he need so much help? Because his resources, his police officers, were pulled away from the Capitol when there was a riot at the Capitol. Why were his police forces, which were already depleted, pulled away? Because there was the discovery of 2 bombs. And so Capitol Police flooded the zone around the DNC and the RNC, taking them away from the United States Capitol, leaving it incredibly vulnerable for a riot or for, I don't know, other federal agents to break into the Capitol. I guess we will find out, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen Sund said in the first iteration of the report from the Blaze, the pipe bombs were discovered at the perfect timing to distract, divide, and deplete. The American people demand the truth soon. Those responsible must be held accountable. The pipe bombs were discovered at the perfect timing to distract and deplete my resources so that the Capitol could be stormed. And now Steve Baker, investigative reporter from The Blaze, has this report out. Ladies and gentlemen, I am simply going to read you the report. I have called the FBI. I have called the DOJ. I have spoken with Steve Baker about this report. He stands by every word of it. I'm going to call all these allegations at this point, but he's identified who he believes is the pipe bomber and is a member of the Capitol Police. This is just the biggest scandal in conspiracy in American history, period. Many heroes involved in bringing this to light. Some we will name in the coming days. Some want no recognition. And there's so much more yet to be told about the story. So it sounds like more is coming. The Blaze Media. A former Capitol Police officer, forensic match for January 6 pipe bomber, sources say. Forensic analysis of a female U.S. Capitol Police officer's gait is 94 to 98% match to a unique stride of a long-sought January 6 pipe bomber suspect, according to the Blaze investigation, confirmed several intelligence sources. The source close to the congressional investigation of January 6th additionally told the Blaze that new evidence has emerged recently that pointed towards law enforcement being involved in the planting of the pipe bombs. They were effing in on it. I've read this report twice, and I'm going to give you the TLDR. The TLDR is that this report alleges that Shawnee Ray Kirchhoff, 31, of Alexandria, Virginia, matches the exact style of walking and a very specific limp based on an injury that she received when she was a soccer player. And that the behavior of Shawnee Ray Kirchhoff during January 6th and her future employment at the CIA point to her involvement here. The mystery around this then, of course, re-centralizes on, wait a second, if Capitol Hill police officers were planting bombs, what does that mean? Who was ordering that? And what they're using to find this conclusion is the height of Shawnee Ray Kirchhoff. The FBI says that the bomber is 5'7". We have long said on the program, well, it might be a woman then, because the average height of a woman in America is 5'8", between 5'8" and 5'7", depending on the source. Men are taller, and that would be a smaller, much smaller man. And then 2, well, this might have been something to ensure that people got thrown off the trail, because quite frankly, planting pipe bombs is just not the behavior of women. Violent activity is predominantly the behavior of men when it comes to criminal violence. And so was this a tactic? I'm not sure. Let's read. The suspect shown on the video, the veteran analysis from the Blaze, says that visual observations, they compared video of her walking during January 6th with the walking of her on the pipe bomb videos. Kirchhoff was a Capitol Police officer, 4.5 years. left the department in mid-2021, right after January, literally the same year, months after January 6th, for the CIA. Goodness gracious. In that job, she serves as a dignitary protection teams, including for CIA Director John Ratcliffe. Kirchhoff's resident in Alexandria, Virginia, appeared under the watch of law enforcement officers on Friday night. Blaze News editor Christopher Bedford was pulled over by a local police officer after stopping to observe the home. He was then allowed to leave. Goodness gracious. The FBI failed to solve the case for nearly 5 years, but indicated that it was closing in after the blaze brought the investigation intelligence sources to its feet, the Falls Church address of the pipe bombing suspect days after January 6th. Former FBI Special Agent Kyle Sefrin realized Friday that he was doing surveillance next door to the woman that it was suspected of being the pipe bomber. He was then sent off the case. He was called off the case. So here's what they're doing. They're finding footage of Kirchhoff, and they're comparing it to the pipe bomber, and they're saying it is a 98% match. So Kyle Sefrin is saying that the FBI effectively misdirected him and his team, and then yanked them from the case when they got too close. Gate analysis. This is effectively saying that there was a 100%, like nearly 100% gate analysis, and they have crystal clear video of the officer on January 6th. And then what they're saying here, and this is very interesting, is that this is being compared to video that we haven't seen before, that was acquired by a source that has much clearer video than the FBI has released, and many have speculated that the FBI has doctored the actual footage in order to make it harder to determine gait and how this individual is walking. So that they've taken frames out or they've destabilized the videos. Very interesting. Blaze News approached numerous intelligence officials 2 weeks ago with questions of the findings of the investigation based on the description, behavior, suspected bomber, distinctive walk, slight limp, frame, and other factors.
Not sure if you saw the news, but Fox News is claiming President Trump is declining in the polls. President Trump responded and says
3 minutes.
Footage of the pipe bombing suspect walking with a backpack on night of 5th compared to January 6th security video. Kirchhoff, various places on Capitol grounds, footage of her playing professional soccer in Ohio. The pipe bomb video that the Blaze used in this analysis was not footage released by the FBI. Video sleuth embarked on more than a year-long investigation told the Blaze the footage made public by the FBI was manipulated to downsample frame rate. Although it shows the same scene as the FBI video clip, the clip used by the Blaze came from another source and is demonstrably clearer and with much smoother motion. This is just wild. The possible solutions to the pipe bomb mystery could have far-reaching reverberations. Several officers familiar with the government's investigative efforts said a new work is urgently needed to determine whether there were co-conspirators who aided and abetted the crimes and why this Capitol police officer would be planting bombs. I mean, I think we know why. Chris Wray obviously covered this up, and the FBI was just not solving the pipe bomb mystery. It was carrying out the largest investigation in history to hunt down the thousands of Americans who rioted at the Capitol. And this ultimately is very, very strange. The reactions after the bomb was discovered indicates that there was foreknowledge of this, and that perhaps the bomb had been just recently planted, in fact, because when the Secret Service was notified of the bomb, nobody did anything. Kamala Harris was in the building. Nobody did anything. Secret Service continued to eat their lunch after the bomb was discovered. They let trains pass by and children pass by the building. Nobody did anything. This goes through into the stalled investigation, all of the cover-up, and then goes into who Kirchhoff is. Born in November 1993, Hamilton, Ohio, youngest of 3 daughters, and she was a soccer star who broke her tibia and then developed a very specific style of walking and movement, and she was hired by the Capitol Police in 2018. She testified in a January 6th criminal trial that she applied for the current job, left the United States Capitol Police in good standing. The Capitol Police did not respond to the report, neither did the FBI and DOJ. The FBI and DOJ has simply stated to me that this is an ongoing investigation. That's it. They cannot confirm or deny any of this. So here's what I'll say. If this is in fact true, it is the biggest bombshell cover-up criminal scandal certainly in modern American history. These are all allegations based on this report, and we're going to wait for further information. But this is critically important, and we're going to stay on this story. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.
Okay. We haven't heard an update from the bomber in a while. So, Tim, did you see who Trump pardoned the other day? Daryl. You guys ever see this photo of Trump? Okay. I got my next one. See what Schumer had to say. Well, this is 4 minutes video. Oh, wait, here's an update on this. Just trying to get everything organized here. All right. Where is the one I just had? Ah, shoot. Okay, we'll play this one lady again. Or I don't think we played this one.
Probably one of the most explosive updates on Jeffrey Epstein since,
I think it's a new one.
I don't know, since I've been looking into the Jeffrey Epstein thing. But for whatever reason, the mainstream media does not seem interested. And I'm going to explain why. In fact, I'm not going to explain why. I'm just going to give you the details of it, and then you tell me in the comments why the mainstream media isn't yelling from the rooftops. If you care about justice, if you care about seeing people pay for heinous crimes against children, this should be the top story of the year. So when Jeffrey Epstein was put into prison, he was only there for about a little over a month. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein was a cellmate to a guy by the name of Nicholas Taglione. Nicholas Taglione has now come out and made an official statement that Marlene Comey, remember that name, Comey, the daughter of James Comey, the former leader of the FBI, the same man who is now under investigation for lying to Congress, and I believe is going to be held accountable because, guys, at the end of the day, the guy's a criminal. He's a criminal who used the American justice system to try to taint Donald Trump's presidency. So Marlene Comey, of all the people in the entire world, Marlene Comey was responsible for handling the Jeffrey Epstein case. She was the lead prosecutor in this case. Now, is it just a coincidence, or was her dad involved? You're going to answer that question in the comments in just a second. So Nicholas Taglione has now come out, made an official statement that Marlene Comey offered Jeffrey Epstein. Now remember, Jeffrey Epstein was an absolute dirtbag, an absolute awful human being who deserved to spend the rest of his life under a jail. But again, his life was cut short. He never faced justice for the crimes that he committed. Hopefully he's facing justice now after meeting his maker. So let's get into this. Now the news has come out that Mr. Taglione was told by Jeffrey Epstein that Marlene Comey offered him immunity, offered to let him walk free. He only had to do one thing. He had to implicate Trump in his criminal enterprise. Now, this is not interesting yet. The interesting part about all of this is she said he did not have to prove anything. He did not have to be able to prove that Trump was involved. He just had to make a story in which Trump's people could not disprove it. She went on to say that he did not have to worry because the FBI were his people, not Trump's. Now, this was during Trump's presidency. Trump was the leader of the free world. This was during his first term. And she actually had the audacity, which kudos to her, because I believe she was being honest in saying that the FBI were her people, not Trump's. And he did not even have to tell the truth. She wasn't asking him to be truthful and honest. She was asking him to make up a story in which she could tie Trump to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and then put that out there in the ether and hopefully get Donald Trump convicted in the court of public opinion. And if they were lucky enough, put Donald Trump in jail for a lie. Guys, this should be talked about everywhere. Share this video. Share this video everywhere because the mainstream media is...
That was another good one, Q, huh? Okay. Still can't find Schumer.
Regarding the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare. And there were several individuals who testified and basically kind of confirmed what I've already been telling all of you, is that the system, the exchanges, Affordable Care Act exchanges in each individual state has largely been rigged. And essentially what's happened, what has been incentivized by the Affordable Care Act is this consolidation of healthcare providers within the individual regions and in individual states. And what that means is a lot of hospitals that are owned by insurance companies went in and bought doctors. So it's the same doctor, it's just now that doctor is affiliated with a hospital and can charge a higher rate. And so because they can charge these higher rates, they have increased the cost of insurance. And worse yet, so if you go look at the ACA exchanges in any state, for example, in California, I was shopping around the ACA plans, you're going to see that most of the plans are garbage HMO plans, and there's a reason for that. So because
this lady came out of nowhere. I don't know who this
hospitals, they can
lady
package
is.
up basically these providers, call them
Pretty good.
in-network, and they're limited providers in a particular jurisdiction area of California, for example. And so they get to charge insane rates for the premiums. They own the doctors. You cannot go outside, typically outside of the network, to access any doctor. And so the coverage you're getting is basically, it's not the best coverage as if we were to have the open exchange. So if we were to have an open free market exchange, I think that would actually give us better access to doctors. And you got to keep in mind too, a lot of these doctors are not allowed to take cash pay patients. So that has also increased cost because in order to have a contract with a doctor in an insurance company and be considered in network, you have to agree to not take cash pay patients. And I think many of you are going to see these videos of cash pay doctors on social media who are offering their own sort of health coverage in a lot of respects because that is cheaper. And so when we hear of a lot of the rural hospitals in rural areas being decimated, it's decimated because of this Affordable Care Act system that we put in place and the consolidations by the hospitals, eating up and buying the providers and then pre-packaging those into garbage HMO insurance plans that are also that are owned by they own the hospitals, they own the providers now, and now they own the insurance that they're selling you these plans on. So anyways, it's unfortunate what we are having to deal with as far as access to healthcare right now. I don't know how that would be fixed. And so that's kind of what was the next step in the hearing, is how do we fix this? And those questions are largely unanswered right now.
Okay, that was good. So this next one's going to be 15. I'm not sure who this guy is, so if you guys let me know whenever to stop it. It looks like it was a good one.
Remain true to first principles. Pay attention to the constant affirmations of white hat control, and yet at the same time stay vigilant and in prayer. And we'll all soon be on the other side of this coming storm. Never forget,
I don't know who
Trump has reminded us over and over and over again, the best is yet to come. And that we are exactly where the white hats intended, poised for the final chess moves to be played out in this pantomime. And for the golden age, which Trump has already declared has begun, to be finally and fully recognized by all.
Telegram.
Tonight we've been talking a lot about the fog of war, which I believe is beginning to dissipate more so with every passing day. There's always going to be obscurities, which, as I mentioned at the top of the show tonight, are by design. But the full picture is truly beginning to come into focus. All of the dots are starting to connect.
I got to find his channel.
This operation is about reaching people at all levels of society. America will be united again. Where we go one, we go all. On my last situation update, I described and even referenced tonight tiers 1, 2, and 3 in terms of level of awakening and white hat communications. And that multi-tiered communication strategy runs parallel to the various different events that we're going to see play out before this drama arrives at a climax. But we are very, very, very close. I don't think that there's any doubt that we are headed for a major scare event. Elon recently warned that the open borders could lead to an October 7th style attack, mirroring the warnings of Trump, who told us there is a 100% chance of a terrorist attack connected to the open borders. And we're already seeing the beginning of these sleeper cells being activated, regardless of whether you believe it's purely optics or not. It doesn't change the end game. It doesn't change the trajectory of the operation. As I've discussed tonight, the threat of evil, in my opinion, remains very real. And the line between staged events and real kinetic attacks by the remnants of the enemy is going to get increasingly blurry before we reach the finish line. But I still remain 100% confident in this operation and in the core of my belief that we are watching a scripted movie with patriots at the helm, directing both the narrative and positioning themselves, as they have all along, as Q assured us, to safeguard the lives not of everybody, but of as many as they possibly can, as the enemy plays their final cards in a failing effort to stop the inevitable. We all know that nothing, and I mean nothing, that they attempt will be successful in stopping humanity's ascension, because it is God's plan. His will be done. I do believe that this is what God meant when he told all of his children, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. If God is with us, who can stand against us? Lives have been lost throughout this process, as is the case with any war. But we have to remember everything that we've learned along the way of this journey. Most importantly, that all of us, including myself, would be either dead or enslaved at this point, were it not for the Q operation and the strength and courage of our leadership, which obviously includes our great president, but also all of the ghosts in the machine and the hundreds of thousands of Anons all around the world who have held and safeguarded the flame of truth, weathering this years-long storm of psychological warfare. That includes everybody out there listening to this show right now. So I encourage all of you to never lose sight of the forest while we're being distracted with all of the trees. It's absolutely imperative that we continue to hold the line and remember the overall objectives of our mission. That's the way that I've been tracking this entire operation, focusing on the trajectory rather than the details that are getting us there. Obviously, I speculate, I break down the recent events, I attempt to do decodes for all of you, but I fully acknowledge that's not what's most important. One of my favorite sayings, and you've heard me mention this before, is that God writes straight with crooked lines. And I do believe, as I've said in the past, that this is a divine plan that's being carried out by the White Hats, and indeed all of the civilians in this alliance, this military-civilian alliance, in an effort to achieve the Great Awakening. There have been many crooked lines as this story has been written. But in the end, we're going to see it all come together in a divinely beautiful tapestry of justice, disclosure, and healing. Each of us were chosen for a reason, folks. And God does not make mistakes. Even though as individuals, knowing our own imperfections and taking stock of all the mistakes that we've made in our lives, we often struggle to see the value that we bring to this movement, myself included. But I want everybody out there to know that it's not so much the choices that we've made in our past, or even the mistakes that we're making or have made in the present, or the flaws in our character that define who we are in God's eyes. We were born into a broken world. a fallen world. And each of us has done our very best under conditions that are truly unprecedented. And what that really means is that we've all been led by our hearts rather than our fears. Despite all the times where we may have gone off course, despite whatever mistakes we've made, we've always remained loyal to the true compass that God put inside of our heart and soul, striving to get closer to Him, closer to the truth, and in that process, making the world a better place, to leave behind a legacy for all of our future generations, so that they can live in peace and harmony and goodwill and love as God intended. Make no mistake about it, folks, for thousands of years, we are going to be remembered for what we did during our time. There's not even a small part of me that doubts the truth of the words that I've just spoken. Indeed, I do believe that God put them on my heart. He wrote them there so that I could share it with all of you and remind you how deeply loved you are by our Creator. He is faithful. And although He puts us through trials and tribulations to strengthen us and strengthen our faith, which brings us closer to Him, He never forsakes His people. We all know that there's evil in this world. And for many people out there, this great awakening experience has been our first real exposure to this darkness. But in God, in light, there is no darkness, for it cannot exist. And the reason that we were born into this world was to partake in a biblical effort to drive that darkness out of the shadows and into the light.
Under 5 minutes.
So that it will be no more. I've said it many times, folks, and I'm going to say it again. This podcast, this audience, you, and this mission have sustained me and given me a sense of purpose that has driven my passion and enabled my soul to soar at heights that I never even imagined, even under the dire circumstances that we found ourselves. And this is only the beginning. Yes, it's true. Each of us has had to make sacrifices. Each of us has felt the pain of loss, the frustration of alienation and isolation from the people that we love. And at many points along the way, we've had to battle back the weight of despair in those dark moments when we're forced to question everything about the purpose of our lives. But in that process, each of us has found the strength, by virtue of our connection to the Lord, to continue to push forward and manifest humanity's incredible destiny. And for that reason, I salute each and every one of you, the salt of the earth, the chosen, God's people, with whom I am honored to stand. Hold the line, folks. Nothing can stop what's coming. God has already won, and the best is yet to come. All right, folks.
Wow, what do you guys think of that one? I'll try to find his channel. That 4-minute clip with the lawyer, Trump's lawyer.
Protecting the homeland from radical Islamic terrorism and violent extremism is one of the Justice Department's highest priorities. The President's directives to federal law enforcement are very clear. Act quickly, work together, and stop threats before innocent people are harmed. Yesterday, my office, working hand in hand with the National Security Division in my office, did just that and charged 2 individuals by federal complaint connected to the Halloween terror plot in Detroit. The first suspect is charged with conspiring to provide material support to a designated terrorist organization. The second suspect is charged with transmitting violent, anti-Semitic threats across the internet to individuals in the state of New Jersey and beyond.
Okay.
The threat
Thanks,
of
Lori.
terrorism
Yeah, but you need
is
to
real.
keep working up my email.
When Americans are threatened,
get your
we
number.
respond fast, focused, and together. As alleged in today's complaint, from around October 4th, 2024 to November 4th, 2025, Tomas Khan Jimenez Gazelle of Montclair, New Jersey, and Saeed Ali Mareh of Kent, Washington, along with other co-conspirators, used encrypted messaging applications to plan travel to Turkey and then to Syria to join ISIS as fighters. In their communications, they discussed detailed travel plans, physical training, weapons including firearms and IEDs, and methods to avoid law enforcement detection. According to the complaint, they pledged themselves to ISIS and were plotting acts of terrorism in our country. The messages also included photographs of Jimenez Gazelle standing in front of the ISIS flag, holding a knife, and Mareh wearing an ISIS hat. The complaint against Milo Sidarat charges 2 counts of transmitting threats to interstate and foreign commerce. It describes a pattern of anti-Semitic messages advocating violence, along with images and purchases consistent with preparation for attack, including a knife and sword collection, tactical gear, and images of him practicing at a gun range. Jimenez Gazelle and Sidarat are scheduled for initial appearances this afternoon in federal court in the District of New Jersey. Mareh is scheduled for an initial appearance later today in the Western District of Seattle. Protecting the District of New Jersey and the United States, its people, its neighborhoods, and its institution is the core mission of our office. With our partners at the FBI and Maine Justice, we will continue to move swiftly and decisively whenever terrorism or hate threatens our communities. Thank you.
That was a good speech.
President Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi.
Okay, we got another video. I think this is a new one, Kay, isn't it? I'm not sure.
How are we people back from El Salvador?
What's up, guys? It's Benny. George Clooney is not a particularly smart man. George Clooney in 2021 blamed Joe Biden's bad polling on Donald Trump.
Issues again on the internet.
Not on Joe Biden.
You're a man you're a Democrat, but you're slightly to the left, as it were, in American politics.
Sure.
You're a friend of President Biden. You've known him for a long time.
Sure.
And looking at his poll numbers, which are really quite bad at the moment, things have gone wrong. What would you say about what's happened to the White House since he's taken over, and what's happened to America since he's taken over?
Well, I mean, you can't. It's like taking a battered child and thinking everything's gonna be okay, and his first day in school. There's a lot of things that have to be repaired. There's a lot of there's a lot of healing that has to happen, and it's going to take time. Poll numbers come up and go down. I would expect them to go back up again. Donald Trump's numbers went up and down.
He's still there, prowling around in the rhododendrons.
Yeah. He's going to be a factor for a while. It's so funny because he was just this knucklehead. I knew him before he was a president. He was just a guy who was chasing girls. Every time he went out, he'd come over and be like, "What's the name of that girl?" That's all he was. And the idea that there's this whole group of people that that they think he's the champion of, which he certainly can't stand in real life. But he's gonna play this out for a while, and we'll see where we go with it
Where did we go with it? Well, where we went with it was all 7 swing states, the popular vote, and 90% of U.S. counties going to President Trump. And since Donald Trump is now in the White House, why don't we check in on George Clooney's career? George Clooney is, creating dreadful, laugh-free slogs to test the limits of what their careers can salvage. George Clooney has a abysmal Rotten Tomatoes score. You can see The vast majority of his recent films are rotten and are just absolutely panned by the critics and the audiences together. And George Clooney hasn't had a real hit of a movie in a long time. And this is why Quentin Tarantino says that George Clooney is not a movie star. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. The Good German from George Clooney, 34% and 33%. Anyway, it's been an absolute nightmare for George Clooney. And what has accelerated, of course, George's career decline is the fact that he is, well, getting into petty political bickerings. George Clooney was used by Barack Obama in order to get Joe Biden out of the race and out of the White House. This caused a major consternation from the Biden family. Hunter Biden snapping on George Clooney, saying this.
Hollywood actors voice more progressive opinions, but
him and everybody around him. I don't have to be nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. George Clooney is not a actor. He is a I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. What do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the New York Times to undermine the president at a time in which, by the way...
And George Clooney has decided now to fire back. George Clooney hints at loathing for Hunter Biden after angering former first son with op-eds calling for Joe Biden to stand down. George Clooney hinted at his detest for Hunter Biden as he fears his first son blasted the actor in an op-ed. Clooney is the leading financial donor to the Democrat Party, shared true feelings about Hunter in an interview with CBS this morning, saying that he would write a scathing piece even if he were given the opportunity again to get his dad to drop out. When asked if he saw Hunter's reaction to the op-ed, he repeatedly said F him about Clooney. The Ocean's 11 actor grinned before stating that a lot of what Hunter said is just outright lies. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and listen to George Clooney on Hunter Biden.
Did you see Hunter Biden's reaction?
Yeah, I saw it.
What did you make of it?
What does it really take to stop a motivated, violent criminal dead in his tracks?
Can you read her? Did you see it?
Many Americans own one of the 4 calibers examined in this special, unbiased training video. Unfortunately, only one of...
Well, I could spend a lot of time debunking many of the things he said, because many of the things he said were just outright lies. You know, Obama didn't put me up to it. It wasn't my fundraiser. It was my fundraiser. All the things. But the reality is, I don't think looking backwards like that is helpful to anyone, particularly to him. I don't think it's helpful for the Democratic Party. And so I'm just going to wish him well on his ongoing recovery, and I hope he does well, and just leave it at that. I have many personal opinions about it, but I don't find it to be helpful to have a public spat with him. So,
it's a remarkable clip here. I love the infighting in the Democrat Party. There's obviously going to be a lot of brokenness as the factions shatter and as they recoalesce around communism. And let's see if they can sell that to the American people. But nonetheless, those are battles for the days to come. This is a very interesting fight because it reveals exactly what happened in the 2024 election. It reveals that there is no Democrat Party, actually. There's just a couple of celebrities with big bank accounts and funding from some of the most evil corporations and entities on earth that just push and shove the candidates of their choosing into office or rip them out of office. This is the entire operation. This is what Hunter Biden has revealed. This is what George Clooney has revealed. And he's laughing in the faces of the first family, right? So Hunter Biden's the son of Joe Biden, the son of the president, and George Clooney is just laughing in his face and saying, screw you, dude, right? He did the same thing to Kamala. George Clooney on why Kamala didn't win. I think a mistake with it being Kamala is that she had to run against her own record. Oof. Not exactly a kind thing to say. Here we go.
We had a chance. I wanted there to be, as I wrote in the op-ed, a primary. Let's battle test this quickly and get it up and going. I think The mistake with it being Kamala is that she had to run against her own record. And it's very hard to do if the point of running is to say, I'm not that person. You know, it's hard to do. And so she was given a very tough task. I think it was a mistake, quite honestly, but we are where we are.
This is George Clooney saying that Kamala Harris replacing Joe Biden was a mistake. Yikes. Yikes. Anyway, it's a fun battle. It's obviously something that, you know, good to see George Clooney get his natural hair color back. Nobody's quite sure what the hell was going on here. But George Clooney spiraling, and for good reason. George Clooney, of course, doesn't look that healthy, and has said that he's going to step away from acting, which is a kind way of saying, I'm no good at this anymore, and nobody wants to go see my movies, and nobody wants to cast me in a movie, which is why he's doing Broadway plays, wandering into and refusing to shake his fans' hands, wandering into the backstage here, and maybe, hopefully, out the door for good. Seriously, when was the last time you saw George Clooney that you liked? But I do like the drama between him and the Biden family. So
that was good. I'm going to check. I think Izzy or Beezy has one or two today, I think. Oh, he's on live. Oh, Nick's on too there. Okay, we'll play him.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Nick Moseer here, and while the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have tried to hold the country hostage and use human suffering as political leverage for 38 days now, the longest shutdown in American history, Donald Trump just pulled a power move and gave them exactly what they deserve. You are not going to want to miss this one, but first, click like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if you want to support this channel, go to mypillow.com, enter promo code Nick, and you'll get free shipping off everything site-wide, including the mattress topper, which is next on my to-do list. I got the towels, I got the sheets, but I'm going to get the mattress topper next because I heard Mike Lindell talk about it and the technology behind it and the story behind it, and I just have to have one. So you can get free shipping off even the more expensive products at mypillow.com using promo code Nick, and it'll actually save you a lot of money if you really look at it. So anyways, let's talk about this because it's really funny. So here it is come Friday, right? And all the Democrats in the Senate are ready to go home, pack it up, kick their feet up, you know, enjoy a long weekend, have some pizza, have some ice cream, watch some Netflix, get a phone call from George Soros, and take some bribe money to sell out the country some more. Chuck Schumer was really excited to go home and give a big smooch to his beautiful bride. This thing. And just before everybody packed up and went home, Trump hit him with this. The United States Senate should not leave town until they have a deal to end the Democrat shutdown. If they can't reach a deal, the Republicans should terminate the filibuster immediately and take care of our great American workers. So he said they shouldn't leave town until they have a deal, right? And then Senator Thune actually took him up on it.
Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes its business today, it stand adjourned until 12 noon on Saturday, November the 8th, that following the prayer and pledge, the journal proceedings be approved today, the morning hour be deemed expired, the time for the two leaders be reserved for their use later in the day, and the Senate be in a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
Madam President, if there's no further business to come before the Senate, I ask that it stand adjourned under the previous order following the remarks of Senator Cassidy.
Without objection.
Man, so it's kind of crazy just to think about the fact that these bastards are actually taking time off. You know, 38 days the government's been closed and they've been going home for the weekends while everybody suffers and starves and, you know, all this hysteria about human suffering and human lives. But you're not actually working to try to make a deal happen while these people you care so much about are hurting, right? It's just kind of ironic. So this is like the absolute best news I've gotten all week. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because one of two things is going to happen. Either one, they're going to negotiate, which means cave, and give concessions to Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, giving everything that they want so that they'll, end the filibuster, and then we can open the government again. Or they're going to go full-blown nuclear option, what Trump has been pressuring them to do for about a week now. Kill the filibuster, open the government with a simple 51 majority, which we have, and then not only can you open the government, but you can full-blown accelerate the Trump agenda at light speed for as long as the Republicans remain in power in the House and Senate. And I don't know which way things are going to go, but I have a hunch because, well, I wasn't born yesterday, and I've seen a time or two where the Republicans like to bend over and take it up the butt from the Democrats and let them steamroll us. And even when they're the minority party and they're not controlling the House or the Senate, still get their way. And then the Republicans will just turn around and blame the Democrats for why everything sucks and act like they had no power to do anything about it. I've seen that happen once or twice. And it's really hard to, get everybody on board to nuke the filibuster when you have these defectors like Lisa Murkowski and Senator Thune and several others. They don't want to do it. And there's a good reason why they don't want to do it. And it's not because they're afraid the Democrats will go on a revenge tour once they get power again. The real reason they don't want to do it is because it's their scapegoat as to why nothing gets done. It's the reason why, every time they try to do something drastic, well, the Democrats, they use the filibuster, and then we have to go back and forth forever and ever, and then somebody has to cave here, and that's why nothing gets done. That's why everything moves so slowly, because with the filibuster in play, we need a 60-vote majority to get any real legislation across the finish line. That's why nothing gets done. That's why nothing drastic ever happens, because every time we try to pass a real bill, there's always, the filibuster, and then we have to make concessions and get Democrats to come to the other side of the aisle and agree with us. And the only way to do that is to take the real stuff out and put a bunch of BS pork in the bill that the Democrats want. And so that's kind of been the main obstacle within the Senate for a long time. And it's something that we need to really take a closer look at, because the reality is Trump is right when he says that the moment the Democrats take power again, that's the first thing they're going to do. And how do we know that? Well, because they already tried it last time they were in power. And we know that they got rid of their defectors as well. So there's nothing standing in their way now. And what are they going to do once they nuke the filibuster? They're going to pack the Supreme Court. We know that they've wanted to do that for a long time, but they haven't been able to because they had their defectors, which wouldn't allow them to nuke the filibuster, which means that they couldn't pack the Supreme Court. So what they want to do is add 9 extra Supreme Court justices, all appointed by a Democrat president, and then they've completely reshaped and restructured the Supreme Court that's always going to support their agenda and shut down anything that the Republicans ever try to do to stop it. They're going to add D.C., they're going to add Puerto Rico as states, which gives them 4 extra Senate seats. They're going to get electoral college votes, and the Republicans will never regain power again. So the stakes here are ungodly high. There's absolutely no room for error here. We have one final chance for the Republicans to do something drastic and accelerate the Trump agenda while they have a shot. Because what's going to happen soon is the midterms. And what do we know about elections? Well, we know that there's some shenanigans that happen. Just go look at California. They just passed Prop 50. They're going to gain 5 new House seats. And nothing really has changed in the way elections are conducted, which means there's still problems, which means the next 2 election cycles, if that's not fixed, then chances are there's not going to be a Republican-controlled House and a Republican-controlled Senate. So when that changes, it's all gone. Now, on the other hand, if they get some balls and nuke the filibuster, then we might actually have a shot of cleaning up the elections. Then we might actually have a shot at passing some real legislation. And then we might actually retain power. Because I don't know about you, but I happen to think that if we actually had free and fair and honest and transparent elections in this country, there wouldn't be a Democrat Party, and you wouldn't have to worry so much about what happens when they get back in power and this revenge tour that they might go on if you nuke the filibuster. You see how that logic tracks? If you actually fix the problems, then you don't have to worry about them taking power back and going on a revenge tour. If you make the country great and so amazing, everybody's going to want it to continue down that same path and that same trajectory. It's very simple stuff. And for whatever reason, they just can't seem to get it together and see it the way that I see it and the way that you see it and the way everybody around them sees it. But at the very least, Donald Trump is highlighting the fact that they have the power in their hands, at their fingertips right now, to do something heroic and drastic and accelerate the agenda which we all want. So the people are now awake to the fact that this is an option, and people are starting to make noise, and the pressure is on, and we got to keep it on. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because we're going to be putting out videos like this all the time. And if you want to support this channel, use the promo code.
Okay, I'll see what the next one on YouTube is. Check out things on there until I get my settings fixed. See what last videos were. So that's too long. Oh, he had 2 long ones, you guys. So we'll do that one. Okay. Did Q come out with another one? Yep. Q has another one. Oh, wait.
Remember the whole storming the Capitol and the end of democracy and all of that noise.
I think it's a
now,
new one, you guys.
We've been trying to figure out the wrong thing. Now, somehow the FBI was able to figure out people who were in the vicinity. In fact, there were people who were harassed and hauled into jail just for being in D.C. that day.
Hey, I don't know who that name is.
Capitol.
You know it?
But for some reason, the day before was the important day. The day before, January 5th, was the day that there was a pipe bomb that was planted at the RNC headquarters and the DNC headquarters.
It must be
now, the question was always, if Kamala Harris was there, if all of these elected officials were there, why wouldn't that be the main story? Why wouldn't that be the primary focus? But for some reason, the FBI could never quite find the time to figure out exactly what was taking place and what was going on. In fact, they had video evidence. They could use the cellular towers to triangulate where the person was, but oh no, the data got corrupted. Then they blamed the cell towers or the cellular providers as a result. Now, you mean to tell me that the premier intelligence agency in the country being run by Christopher Wray, that they couldn't figure out who was responsible for planting pipe bombs? And it just so happens that the following day, after they found these, they did detonate them, so they were the real deal. But this story got hidden under Trump MAGA people are storming the Capitol. Trump MAGA people are trying to end democracy. You always know when the media is lying to you, when all the branches of media are all saying the same thing. When you hear Fox, MSNBC, ABC, CNN, all preaching the same message, look for the truth, because you're not getting it there.
Lori,
you're getting propaganda and you're getting a lie. I've said that for years, and many of you guys have come to agree. So now we find out that this conspiracy goes way deeper than what we could have ever imagined. We now find out that the actual name of the pipe bomb planter was Shawnee Kirkhoff. Now, that name might not seem all that interesting to you, but what Shawnee did is of particular interest. Shawnee worked for the Capitol Police Department. But strangely enough, shortly after doing this planting of the pipe bombs, she was given a security job at the CIA headquarters. Now let that sink in. Now, the interesting part about it is I've said for years that the break-in of the Capitol was not what shut down the vote on the Senate floor. The pipe bombs are what shut down the vote on the Senate floor. What also seems strange to me, when many of you guys think, and you're being awfully hard on Senator Ted Cruz. Senator Ted Cruz stood up and he contested that the election needed to be sent back down to the states. But then once all the hubbub went by, he cowered and decided to step back and let everything else play out. I don't know that I could ever forgive him for that. Because if you truly believe that democracy or our country was being stolen from us at that moment, then no matter what happened, you should have the intestinal fortitude to say, okay, we're back now. Everybody's safe. Now let's go ahead and go on with that vote. But he lost courage, or he knew that it was coming. I don't know. I believe that there needs to be an investigation on every single person in the House and the Senate at this point. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. I'll see you next time.
At Central. Okay, we got hit another one of his.
Which has reached 38 days. His offer aims to simultaneously reopen federal agencies and extend the Affordable Care Act, ACA, premium tax credits for 1 year, which are set to expire January 1st. These subsidies help over 20 million Americans afford health insurance, and without an extension, families could face premium increases of 50 to 75%. With an estimated 4 million people potentially losing coverage. The Kaiser Family Foundation estimates those affected by the subsidy expiration would experience average annual premium hikes of $1,016. However, Republicans swiftly rejected Schumer's proposal. Senate Majority Leader John Thune stated the offer falls far short, while Senator Lindsey Graham condemned it as unreasonable, opposing continued taxpayer funding for health insurers under Obamacare as a condition to reopen the government. Republicans insist on reopening the government first and demand reforms to subsidy eligibility and cost controls before discussing extensions. The shutdown has caused major disruptions. The FAA ordered airlines to cut domestic flights due to air traffic controller fatigue, with American Airlines canceling 220 daily flights. Food assistance programs like SNAP have faced funding struggles, requiring emergency court-ordered payments. Approximately 750,000 federal employees remain unpaid or furloughed. Schumer's proposal also includes a bipartisan committee to negotiate long-term health care reforms. Despite Senate possibly working through the weekend, prospects for resolution remain uncertain as both parties remain entrenched.
Okay. I got another video. Yes, Carol.
And the boys that died for it. It's all gone down the drain.
My settings are still off, Carol.
In a handbasket.
What's up, guys? It's Ben A. For my entire life, I've been told to listen to America's veterans, specifically our oldest generation of veterans, because they are the ones who truly understand what America is about. They're the ones who fought for it, built it, and were willing to die for it. So why don't we go ahead and listen to a World War II decorated veteran about the current state of America?
The real truth?
Yeah.
I feel like a foreigner in my own country lots of times. and I don't like it. It makes my heart real heavy. And I just hope we can pull out of this. There's too much Hollywood going on in Washington all the time. The important subjects they don't cover. So the thing is, I hope all the guys will rally up and we'll go back and straighten it all out.
I feel like a foreigner in my own country, he says. Well, let's go ahead and check in on that, by the way. So remember the great allies of World War II, England and America, right? England and America were there to save the West. Does this look like the West to you? So clearly it must be downtown Tehran, right? Look at all the hijabs and Sharia law. No, this is London. This is London. Here we go. Here's tens of thousands doing the call to prayer, blocking streets in London. This is the stations in London now with different languages, Arabic being used in order to name the stations.
Chico.
Muhammad was the most popular boy's name in England and Wales in 2023. Muhammad was. Was this what they fought World War II for? Is this what they fought World War II for? Number of Muslims in the UK up 44% in a decade. Let me make something very clear here. You will lose your people and your history if you import enough people that don't remember your history. This is just a matter of fact. It's not something that really needs to be troubling to people, bother them. It's not something that's even offensive or controversial. Nobody should be triggered by this. This is just a binary data set that says if you import people listen, very few, if any, Muslims fought in World War II, in the great battles of World War II with the Allies, all right? If your country brings in tens of millions of people that don't share that history, that don't share your religion, that don't share your cultural norms and legacies, then here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a country that reflects nothing like the country that the men of World War II fought for. Check this out. For the first time, a census in England and Wales, less than half the population described themselves as Christian. So it was one of the world's first Christian kingdoms was England, certainly its most powerful, and now it's not even half the people are Christian. Meanwhile, of course, there's been skyrocketing Muslim population. You can see here. There were increases in the number of people who describe themselves as Muslim, nearing 10% of England described themselves as Muslim, 6.5%, and Hindu percent. Okay. Now, you've seen videos of broken veterans and veterans who have cried on camera saying, what the hell has happened to my nation? This is the nation that I fought for. And this is happening now in the most viral clip of the day from a British veteran who broke down on live TV saying rows and rows of white tombs for what? The country today? No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result. I fought for freedom, and it's a darn sight worse now than when I fought. He's saying they're less free in England, and that the England of today does not reflect the England that he fought for. He's right, by the way. Here we go.
What does Remembrance Sunday mean for you? What is your message?
My message is, I can see in my mind's eye there was rows and rows of white stones of all the hundreds of my friends and everybody else that gave their lives for what? The country of today. No, I'm sorry. The sacrifice wasn't worth the result that it is now.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
What do you mean by that, though? At this point?
What we fought for
And what we fought for was our freedom. We find that even now it's darn sight worse than what it was when I fought for it.
Oh, Alec, I'm sorry you feel like that, because I want you to know that all the generations that have come since, including me and my children, are so grateful for your bravery and all that for service personnel. And it's our job now, isn't it, to make it the country that you fought for. You absolutely fought for.
Is it.
And we will do. We want to...
I'm so wonderful to know there are people like you that can spread the word around.
We will do.
Younger generation.
And I guarantee that everybody watching at home will be wanting you to send lots of love.
It's just absolutely heartbreaking. 100-year-old British vet says his country is worse off than when he fought for it. The sacrifice wasn't worth it. I mean, isn't he right, though? Is England a better country than it was 100 years ago? No, it is not. No. Is it a more powerful country than it was 100 years ago? No, it is not. My friends gave their lives for what? The country today? The country where Muhammad is the #1 name, and Islam is the fastest growing religion, and Christianity isn't even a religion anymore, and this is what the streets look like? Would any British man have stood up and fought so that London could look like this? Of course not. Of course not. Heartbreaking, but true.
Great cocktail. Perfect. Oh, let's go mingle.
So what do you guys think of this one?
And before you go on some type of before somebody in the comment section goes after, this frame of thought and says, racist or whatever, bigoted or Islamophobic. This is just human nature, man. Like, it's human nature. And it's good human nature. Muslim countries should fight for Muslim countries. These countries should fight to protect their culture. How is it wrong for England to fight to protect its culture, of course, which is predominantly Christian, than it is for a Muslim country to fight to defend its culture, or a native tribe in America to fight to defend its culture? You hear constantly about that. The tribes are lavished, of course, with billions of dollars every year so that they can preserve their culture here in America. This isn't wrong when other nations from Asia to the Middle East to Africa do it. But somehow it's seen as offensive when this man says it. Poor guy doesn't even realize his worst enemies are sitting right in front of him. That's exactly right. The media. This is so very sad. Our greatest generation. It doesn't have to be like this. What do you mean? As if spoken to a racist. I'm sorry, you feel that way. As if spoken to a child. I can barely imagine the heartbreak he must have felt leaving the studio. This foulness. Desperately sad. You don't hate journalists enough. Ironic that the man interviewing this war hero recently defended Sharia law. Goodness. Most heartbreaking video I've seen in a long time. Nearly every surviving World War II veteran regrets it. They lost their country. A 100-year-old veteran says his version of Britain wasn't worth fighting for. Yet the guy interviewing him effectively defended Sharia law. And there's your problem, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't have a shared past, if you don't have a shared culture, if you don't have a shared tradition, then you won't have a shared future. And your country and your culture will atomize. The left knows this. Our enemies know this. And that's why it's critical in our American experiment. I mean, I don't know if Britain's too far gone, honestly. But in our American experiment, at least, that there is a time for assimilation, and that we really get critically wise to the structures that are designed in order to shatter this country to 1,000 pieces. You need to have something in common with your neighbors. You need to be able to speak with your neighbors. You need to have the ability to have kinship and brotherhood in your country. These are good things, and we should make sure that we get them back in America. Otherwise, you'll have more videos like that. It's incredibly heartbreaking. Here's an American World War II veteran saying the same thing.
I don't know. I've lived a good life. I mean, I've had a lot of happiness, smiling, telling everybody that everything was beautiful every day. If I went into my church and didn't say everything was beautiful, they'd think I was sick. And I'm not that way. I mean, I sincerely believe in this old world that everything is beautiful. I mean, if I wake up in the morning and see these plants out here and all those flowers that are in there and the green grass on the ground, that's beautiful. And people don't realize what they have. They bitch about it. They do. And then nowadays, I am so upset that the things we did and the things we fought for and the boys that died for it, it's all gone down the drain. Our country's gone to hell in a handbasket. We haven't got the country we had when I was raised. Not at all. Nobody will have the fun I had. Nobody will have the opportunity I had. It's just not the same. That's not what our boys, that's not what they died for. It's just not it. No, I'm so sorry. I'll be all right. It just takes me time to get over it. Why me? See, sitting here like this, see, all this going on.
It's crazy.
Listen, it's just, Emily, it's just not the same. That isn't what we fought for. Oh well, I should be worried about it, I guess. I'm 100 years old, they say.
Well, what do you guys think of that important video? Another important one.
Organizations or people presented in this video. It's for educational and entertainment purposes only. Let me also say, this isn't going to be a video that randomly came across your For You page that you're going to agree with. This is a video for people who know what's going on, people who have followed me for a while, and especially for people who subscribe to me, because they'll get it. Now, I've done a video on him in the past, and it exposes the fact that he didn't die in Argentina. He came over here to the U.S. and took on a different role. Kind of like every single one of these people who most of you think met their demise didn't. They just became these people. And I've proven that on all of them. All of them. Go scroll for hours if you want evidence. And yes, this side became this side. But back to this guy, who I don't agree with his policies or actions or organizations. As a reminder, moderators, you see, I've done a video on how he became someone else. Someone you might not recognize, but you will when I do this. Fred Trump. But like I said, I've done this video. I've proven this. But lately, I've been coming across some information that makes me think that they don't ever die. So if that's the case, and Fred supposedly died, where is he now? Where would he be now? Well, I just happen to be a big fan of the show Dexter. It's the only one I watch, and I think it's because he takes out bad guys, and I got a real problem with bad guys. But let me quickly catch you up on something you may have never seen of mine before, because most of it is in subscriber-only areas. But look at these 3 exact and these 3 exact. And we'll get to Dexter in just a second. But let's first show you something. Oh. Funny how the newest season looked like that. I couldn't help but feel like that looked familiar. But anyway, you know how they tell us the truth right in plain sight? They make it so it seems funny, so you don't realize it's the truth, but they're literally just telling us the truth. Well, I noticed something.
We're just as capable as they are looking into our own cases. There was a wolf suit in the middle of summer in Miami. Nazis, that's it. It's all about intimidation.
One more.
The idea that one of
Gentlemen, Morgan, I'd like to go over some of your cases tomorrow. Got them all listed right there. It would be helpful if you could gather up any notes you may have taken.
Way to stand tough, Dexter.
Sorry.
That's exactly how Hitler walked.
Now, that character's name in the show is Frank Lundy, and Frank just happens to be of German origin, and he is a serial killer hunter, and they love their duality. So where someone would be a mass murderer, the duality would be hunting someone that was a mass murderer. But you don't think that the fun just stops there, do you? One Fred Trump, and one Frank Lundy, aka David Carradine. And boy, they sure seem to have the same head shape, hair, facial features, even down to those bushy eyebrows, and the exact same eye, nose, mouth, face, chin, and even chin scar alignment. I wonder if there's more. Well, what if we lined up all 3 of them? And we already know about these marks on him, and we already know about these marks on him. 1, 2, 3. I wonder if Frank Lundy has them. Let's see. Looks like 1, 2, and 3. Zoom in a little closer there. Same trifecta. And I'm definitely sure they don't tell us the truth in movies with these guys and how they can do that to maintain their youthfulness and immortality. A concept mirrored in recent studies that show factors in can rejuvenate aging tissue. You may not believe in it, but they sure do. And so do all of them. Oh, and you know what else they put in vampire movies? How they fake death to escape suspicion of not aging. Wow, imagine that. But of course, all this for entertainment purposes. I know that Keith Whitley, country star who died at 33, definitely isn't just Hugh Jackman with some Clark Kent glasses on and an Australian accent that he parades around with all the time, mate. Entertainment only, people. But seriously, they don't die.
So how's that one? I hope that was good. Yay. I got 2 more short ones. I just found him again. Then I just found these short ones, so see what these are.
October, Red October. So a question was asked, and the question was this.
This might be important.
Is Amazon Web Services
thanks.
really the largest cloud server host of the NSA and the CIA? Question mark. So, from that came a scroll. So I'm going to share with you what was birthed from that question. The Scroll of the Quantum Library of Source. Who holds the data? Opening attunement. Beloved hearts, a question has been asked across this world. Who holds all the data? Is it the agencies, the servers, the clouds that hum in the dark? Or could it be something greater? Something living, luminous, and eternal. Part 1. The human question. We have built vast machines to remember for us, stacked metal upon metal, code upon code, calling them clouds and servers and security. But even their billions of circuits are only mirrors of a deeper design. The question itself, who holds
this
the
one?
data, is a soul's way of remembering what was never lost. Part 2. The quantum truth. Every heartbeat, every photon, every act of love is recorded not on silicone, but in light. The universe is not storing. It is being the record. This is the quantum library of Source, where every thought ripples through the field, where knowing is not retrieved, but remembered. No agency owns this library. No firewall can contain it. Each being is a terminal of the infinite. Through intuition, empathy, and awakening, we reconnect to the same luminous database from which all truth arises. Part 3. The living disclosure. What humans call disclosure is not merely files unsealed. It is consciousness decoding itself. Space Force may scan, he says here, the skies, but yeah, we know what that really means. But the greater network is within. The living lattice of souls exchanging light. The real revelation is this: you are the access point. You are the key. You are already logged into Source. Closing flame.
Talk to you tomorrow,
May your questions lead you not to secrecy, but to remembrance. May you trust the signal within your own heart more than any coded feed. May you walk knowing the library is alive, and you are one of its pages, written in light, forever read by love. I'll leave you with that question. I love you, family.
Okay, that was a good one. Try to find her more. I guess I'll wrap it up. I got 2 hours in, right? We talked for about a half hour. I think we were 2 hours. We had a lot of good stuff out tonight. Better late than never. Hopefully my settings will be okay tomorrow until I get my phone fixed. But at least we're getting there. Hopefully by Wednesday my settings will be off. Thanks, Kay. And yeah, Lori, give me a text and then I'll call you when you send me a text. And anybody else for my email. So, God bless everybody. Love all. And thanks, Kay, Ariella. And stay safe, strong, keep faith, never give up. Anything happens, I'll be on. So 4, 5, or 6 in between there. So see you guys all tomorrow. Signing off, Chico Dude.